Hi, today I'll be evaluating a paper by O'Connor et al. Social Learning Theory Parenting Intervention Promotes Attachment-Based Caregiving in Young Children, a Randomized Clinical Trial. This paper relates to my literature review topic of whether or not social learning interventions can be effective in reducing family violence. Past research on social learning theory interventions, which are referred to as SLTIs, shows that SLTIs are effective in reducing negative child behaviors and in improving parenting. Therefore, current research now looks at the compatibility between SLTIs and other theoretical interventions, such as attachment theories, and whether or not the theories in a hybridized form are more effective. Current research also looks at SLTIs with regards to family violence and other forms of violence and their effectiveness in these areas. Researchers aimed to look at the generalizability of SLTIs with regards to attachment theory measures in this study. They hypothesized that SLTI outcomes and measures would transfer over to attachment-based measures such as parental sensitivity, mutuality, and child's attachment representations. This study seeks to fill two important gaps in the literature. One, looking at conceptual methodological overlap between different theories. Two, looking at whether or not SLTIs have a positive impact on attachment outcomes with regards to the security of child's internal working models. There is little evidence for both in the literature. Researchers in this study incorporated 4 primary schools and included 672 kindergarten and grade 1 students that were screened before entering the trial. Students were allocated by block randomization method to either a control or intervention group. Most students were from ethnic minorities and low socioeconomic backgrounds. Recruitment to the parenting groups revealed that the majority of the parents or caregivers were either single parents or mothers. 2 common SLTIs were incorporated into this study: the Incredible Years Parenting Program and the Supporting Parents on Kids Education in Schools Manualized Literacy Program. Both programs involved parents observing, learning, and then using role play to improve their parenting. 2 kinds of observation were done by researchers in this study. Observation at home involved looking at the parent-child interaction on 3 tasks: a free play task, a structured Lego task, and a pack-up task. Observation at school involved looking at the Manchester Child Attachment Story task and the child's reactions and responses as part of this task. Interesting to note was that with the parent-child interaction home task, coders who saw the recordings and rated the interactions were blind, and the researchers who collected the data from the home visits were blind to the group status. The method and design have 2 key strengths and 1 deficit. Firstly, random assignment of participants to either control or intervention group is a prerequisite for an experimental design. This removes any kind of bias to which participants receive the treatment and which don't. Furthermore, manipulating the independent variable, the presence of SLTIs, provides validity to the effectiveness of the SLTIs when compared between the control and the treatment. Also, this provides a sound basis for themselves involved in investigating and analyzing cross-task and cross-measure effects of the chosen SLTIs. The deficit was the high risk and diverse sample of students from a specific part of London, which negates the generalizability of the findings to other types of samples. This study incorporates 3 measures: a parent behavior coding scheme, a social learning theory measure, which looks at specific parenting behaviors as coded as frequency counts, a coding of attachment-related parenting, which is an attachment theory measure, which looks at sensitive responding, mutuality, and representations of child attachment, and finally, the Manchester Attachment Story task, which looks at attachment representations. Results do show a significant effect of the SLTIs on the sensitive responding attachment theory measure with regards to the free play task and the tidy up task. Interesting to note that the significant effects were in the 2 less structured tasks. Further interpretive data analysis affirmed that the hypothesis is supported. A per protocol analysis demonstrated that in the free play session and in the tidy up session, there was a significant effect on the sensitive responding measure. A strength in measuring the observations was keeping in a key strength to the measures and results came from the fact that Researchers who collected the data from home visits were blind to the group designations. Furthermore, researchers who analyzed the video recordings and rated them were blind to identifying information. This adds objectivity to the results and reduces experimental expectancy effect. As mentioned by the researchers, the measures used were only representative of a much wider pool of social learning and attachment measures. This creates a moderator variable, where it is possible that the specific SLTIs used could have had a greater effect and influence on the attachment measures. So, to conclude, the key finding was that SLTIs do have a flow-on effect to attachment theory measures. Furthermore, positive effects of the intervention varied across the tasks and were sizably different between parents. This study has two important implications. Firstly, it shows that parent training programs can have a deeper effect on core components of the parent-child relationship. Furthermore, comparative studies, such as this study, will give practitioners more evidence to decide which interventions are better for certain clients. I agree with the future directions the researchers have provided, in particular, looking at what aspects of SLTIs positively influenced the important measure of sensitive responding. However, it's important to note that future research could look at the confluence between different theories, such as social learning theory and attachment theory, with regards to hybrid interventions that focus on reducing family violence and different kinds of family violence, such as intimate parent violence and child-to-parent violence. Overall, despite the limitations of the study noted on the previous slide, it appears that, given the randomized control experiment of this design, one can infer cause and effect from these findings.